So there's no room over this side of the radiator for the fill point because of those plugs. So we've chopped this bit of alley tube and we've got this fat AN thing, and then that's going to go down there, and then we've got a 45 off it, so it runs straight along there. And the coolant tank will be up there, which Hannah's making a bracket for now. Brackets! I think that's the last of the mods done to the radiator that we'll need to do. Got this fitting welded on here, and then that goes to the header tank. So I'm going to be making this tank out of 3mm alley. I've got a bit of tube here, and I've also got some plate. So I'm going to cut this like down the middle, so I've got two halves, and then basically make it into a kind of flattened oval, and then go from there. There's the start of the coolant tank, all tacked up, just welded up just inside here. It's going to get fully welded down the outside, it's just for a bit of extra strength. It's not going to be this big, it's going to get cut down probably at an angle like that, and then we're going to have our fittings at the front. So next step is to make a plate for the top. Ah! Oh, that's a good fit. Yeah, so here's the top part, all cut out, cleaned up, sanded down. Fits very nicely on there.
Very nice.
Ignore that gap, it's not actually got a gap. So I need to cut a hole in this now to put the filler neck in. So that's the hole cut in the top bit. I made it slightly bigger than this hole here because what I'm going to do is put it on like that, and then weld around the inside here, and that means it'll look super tidy on the outside, like no weld or anything. That's this, all welded on here. So next step is to tack it onto here, and then we can work out what we're doing. I think we might actually end up doing that angle along this way instead of that way, due to how we're going to put the tank. But yeah, it's starting to look like a giant hip flask. That's the top bit tacked on. And this is going to go... Can you hold that? Yeah. Somewhere around here, but we're going to chop this with the curve of the arch. Obviously making sure this is higher than this, but it should allow us to get it back here somewhere. And then it's a fair way away from the turbo. We can even put a heat shield around it. There you go, a giant hip flask reservoir.
Have a swig.
Just check it's not hot. It's gone open. What? That's the start of the coolant tank all welded up. So I just need to make a template of the wheel arch and then mark that on here, cut it out, and then we'll make a bottom piece and weld that on, and then this will basically be done. We'll just have to put some bungs in it somewhere for some fittings, AN fittings. Pretty happy with these welds. Come out quite nicely. Just filled this up with water with the cap on to check it doesn't leak, and it was all good. So we've drawn the shape of the wheel arch on using this lovely CAD template here, and we're about to attempt to cut it out on the bandsaw. So hopefully this goes all right.
It's gonna scream like a banshee.
Yep. Nice. Well, that actually worked out remarkably well. That means both sides should be about the same. Yep. So that what that means is, what? Don't know what I'm talking about. That's it. So. We've marked up the shape of the piece that goes on the bottom of the coolant tank, so we just need to cut that out and then bend it so it fits on there, which could be quite fun.
Not too far.
Let's get in there. Ooh, that's very close. That's not bad.
I'd say that's pretty good.
Mm. So yeah, now that this is all welded up, we need to put some fittings on it. So that's the one for the filler, right?
Yes, that's going to go on the tank.
So that's going to go on there and have that screwed into it, and then that's -12, and that will weld onto the radiator, and that'll be our filler. happy days. And then we got various other bits that need to go on there as well. Woo!
6.5 hours later.
Coolant tank is all welded up, basically finished. We just need to make a bracket for it and paint it, and then it's done. Obviously we need to screw all the fittings in as well. But yeah, pretty happy with it. There's one finished coolant tank, apart from the paint. And probably put a little dimple in this bracket just to make it look nicer. So yeah, this goes to the radiator fill point. This is our sight gauge for the level. This goes to, oh, the radiator's not in, but there's a nipple over here that goes to, and that goes to the turbo, just there. Oh, and there's the overflow. What are you doing?
Making up one end of the hose that we're going to be using for the coolant filler line. Right, so today I'm going to start on the throttle cable bracket. This is the original one from the 940, and we've got a slightly smaller space and tighter space and a rather odd positioned throttle body. So I'm going to have to make something like this that will fit onto the intake manifold.
Yep.
So this is the original 940 bracket. As you can see, it's got nothing to fit onto here, and the cable needs to link about here in order to give full turn to the throttle body. And so I'm either going to chop this out and fabricate something around these mounting points to hold it in place, or I'm just going to start again and make a whole new bracket that's potentially strong enough to hold the cable without any flex. So this is the start of the bracket, and this will mount up onto these two plates like this, and there'll be a little spacer in there. If I didn't have the spacer, it just wouldn't give me the bend. As you can see, it's quite tight to the actual manifold there, so I needed to keep it away. And then the actual old Volvo bracket will be cut and then welded to this point, and that should, I mean, that's 2mm plate. This is 2.5mm. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop this off here, get it pointing the right direction, and then weld it to the existing plate there.
So, test fit. Gonna plate in here and over here just to give extra strength, and then tidy it all up.
I'll probably patch in the back as well there, so it's got a full connect. So we've got a nice set of
down to here, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let me get a shot of that. I can't. My hand's in the way. From here back to there.
This is the bracket. That just needs this little tab welded in here. It's all been tacked up and sanded for tigging.
Am I tigging this?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Fair.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you don't have to. I mean, I can MIG it.
Yeah, you might as well, because you're gonna sand it all off anyway, aren't you?
No, it's just going to sandblast it.
All right.
Not sand it. I cleaned it all up for you.
Oh, okay. How much? What do I need to weld? Just
Literally there, and then there.
Oh, okay. I could do that.
So yeah, it's not. I mean, if you can get anything in there, that would be great, but you don't have to.
Cool.
Yeah. So what I initially thought was going to be quite a headache, I've actually managed to do and position better than I had anticipated, really. The bracket is solid and it's got multiple support points. There is absolutely no flex in that whatsoever, and the strength on the end there is brilliant. It has taken a little while, as brackets do, but it will just come off now, and I will take it to be sandblasted to get rid of all the impurities like on the surface of the original part, and then painted, and there we go.
Ooh. Nice.
What?
Right, it's time to make another reservoir, this time for the power steering, but I'm being a bit fancier about it this time. It's going to kind of match the same rough shape as the Coolant reservoir, just for symmetry. It'll be much bigger than it needs to be, but that doesn't matter. So the reason it's fancier is because it's a bit more complicated. It's not just a box, we've got some baffles, or a baffle. So I've designed this on Fusion 360 and printed out some bits to help me cut my pieces out. 3mm alley again, and we'll be using that 3.5-inch tube for these curved bits around here. I've got a nice little filler neck with a O-ring in it, and got these nipples.
That's what she said.
Yeah. So, let's see what happens. the bits of the power steering reservoir cut up and ready to stick together, apart from cut a short length of this tube here, but that's minor. So that's the top, that's the filler, goes in there. I'm going to weld that on the inside so it's nice and neat. Same with these, so it's our inlet and outlet, they go on there, and it's a bit hard to do, but you see there, I'll be able to weld that on the inside as well. Then this is the baffle, goes in the middle, so the return comes up through here in a pipe and then runs through this here. This is slightly sloped down, so that should stop any foam getting back to the outlet. Sides, other sides. A bit of an idea of what the inside of this reservoir is going to look like, because you won't be able to see it when it's all together. So got these nipples welded on the bottom. This tube is for the return, and then that goes through this hole, so it goes through all of that baffling, and then that goes on the top. And obviously there will be sides on it, otherwise it's not a tank.
So here's the tank, no sides, baffled just before it gets welded up. Got the liquid goes through the bottom there, out, and then comes back in through the top and flows over here to remove any bubbles. And that's pretty sick bit of fabrication there.
And there we have one finished power steering reservoir. Looks much the same as our coolant reservoir. This is going to go on the opposite side of the car, so it'll look nice and symmetrical. Pretty happy with these welds again. Not quite as neat as the last one, but it'll do. And I weld around this top bit because it's all on the inside. Same on these bottom bits, so it's mega tidy.